Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, May 26th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. One note for those of you that do watch this series of videos that I do, clearly a little different here as I am currently traveling, so you'll notice the charts are also a tad bit different, but at the core, the content is all going to be the same, so let's keep moving. Before I get to the watch list, though, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering here in a little bit. So if you're enjoying what you see and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used to help build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click on. So like I said, if you're enjoying what you see, then certainly get signed up for the free class. First off, a couple of clarification points. The price you see over here and then the candlestick itself will still be changing as I go through the video. That's because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then also I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So for you beginners out there, what that means is each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So for the first stock here, ticker symbol AMC. Don't mean to state the obvious, but I will. Very, very impressive move as the stock basically worked its way upwards the entire day long, which now brings about the question, is there any sort of true power behind this price movement? Is there any sort of genuine strength, or is this just some sort of dead cat bounce? And have no idea, but that's the great thing about charts is they allow you to look at areas and gain better questions. So let's actually change that to green to represent more so a support level. So just to state hopefully the obvious, but if this is a truly strong movement, well then the price is going to keep on making progress in the upwards direction. It's one thing to say, well, if this is truly strong, then it's going to remain strong. But those are just words. But that's why I love charts, is because they allow you to take those words and make them very visual. So when I say that the price needs to, quote unquote, stay strong, I'm just saying staying above that level there, which is at $11. And I'm not saying this will occur, but for example, it's like, let's say the price comes down here and then behaves and, then works its way back upwards. What would you have at that point? Well, you'd still have a set of lows there. You'd have lows down there. And if you envision those as stair steps, you would still have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. And that's what I mean by remaining strong and showing signs of progress. In other words, you just want to see the price chip away and build those higher bases. If the price continues on up, the next key big overarching battleground is going to be that pink line up there, which on my chart denotes the 200 period moving average. So you want to keep a close eye on that. But yeah, no doubt about it. Very impressive move today. Not just a question of can the price continue to build upon this over the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. Next one, ticker symbol GNCA. Got absolutely demolished on Tuesday, but today is showing some signs of life, and it is in a price range, being a penny stock that I know a lot of people care about and are tracking. So really what I'm very curious about here, and like AMC, same general idea, is that the price did ultimately start to show some signs of strength here with the trend line starting to work its way upwards. So it just goes back to that question of, is this truly a strong move? Does this have some genuine strength behind it? And again, well, let's see if it can show strength, and quote unquote show strength being defined, being visualized as staying above that trend line right there. So as long as the price continues to stay above that trend line, then you got to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls, because nothing can go straight up. So yeah, there's going to be pullbacks along the way. So, just to be extra dramatic about it, the price would come up here and then come all the way down here and then shoot all the way up there and then come all the way down there. But even with that, you would, because the price and that trend line is sloping upwards, that would still allow the price to be put in those higher bases, which is what matters most. So, if this thing is going to, remain strong, it's got to stay above that trend line right there. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, the first level and main level that I think a lot of people will be watching is right up here at that 10-cent mark. So let me change that to red to represent more so the resistance right there. So you're going to want to keep a close eye on that. But yeah, no doubt about it. It's creeping upwards, and then, of course, had absolutely massive volume today. So if the price can get up there through 10 cents, then you got to think that this thing's got some more potential to progress even further higher. Next one, ticker symbol Bksy. Absolutely monster move today. I mean, to think that this thing started off down here around $1.20 and went all the way up almost to $3. Crazy move. So you got to think that there's going to be a lot of people watching this one moving into Thursday. So let's map out a couple key levels here, and I want to be very clear what I'm about to draw. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply this is some sort of special talent or a secret discovery. The exact opposite, actually. And I say all that because when you have patterns that a lot of people are watching and wondering the same things about, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can certainly produce some very dynamic movements. And that's what we have here. So the top of this pattern, area of resistance where the price has had some problems, right up there, let's just call it the $3 mark right there. And then as far as, can I do something about this? Let's see. Again, I apologize. There we go. This is not what I'm normally using for my charts, but doing a little bit of impromptu stuff here on the road. So right there, the $3 mark. And then as far as supports are concerned, you have that area right there. So let me change that back to green to represent the support part. And then maybe to make this just easier to see overall, we'll keep this all one color. So we have our resistance. We have our support. Those are terrible lines. We have our big momentum move. And let's put the golf hole down here. And this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So again, while nothing is guaranteed in the markets, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price can turn itself around, get up to that top part of the pattern at $3 and then break up through it, that break right there could indeed create some upside buying pressure? That is completely, again, not a guaranteed thought, but a plausible thought and one that could very realistically happen. So if you like to play this price range, if you like to play bull pennant patterns, then definitely keep this one on your watch list. Next one, ticker symbol VGFC. And if you like to play pullbacks, then this is definitely one that's worth keeping an eye on. But it's also got some breakout potential. So let's just first start with that pullback area. And again, no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it rational to think that if the price comes down to that pink line there, which on my chart denotes the very famous, the very well-known 200 period moving average, that this area could indeed provide some sort of bounce? That is completely a valid thought to have. So like I said, if you like to play those pullbacks, then that 200 period moving average presents a very interesting location down there around the 24-cent mark. Or like I said, if you are interested in playing more so some kind of breakout, and going back to the whole topic of self-fulfilling prophecies, I'm not trying to impress you again. I assure you, there's been a lot of people out there that have drawn that trend line right there. So as stated, does that guarantee anything? No, but does it make it valid? Does it make it plausible to think that if the price can work its way up to that area and then get a break up through it, that break right there could create some upside buying pressure? That is certainly a valid thought process to have. So if you like to play these sorts of setups, either from a breakout or pullback standpoint, and like to play penny stocks, then I'd say definitely get this one on your watch list. Next one here, ticker symbol SNAP. Snapchat talked about this yesterday and talked about this, generally speaking, that trend line right there, and how really all it would take is just even bad news that wasn't as bad as what people might thought, and you could get a breakout. And you can see the trend line this morning was broken and a very nice upwards move from that area. So it goes back to almost the topic of AMC. Nice bounce today, but, is this the start of, something bigger? So I'm not going to go through all that again. You understand the general, framework of the question. It's all about showing strength. How is quote-unquote strength being defined? Showing signs of progress. So in this situation, the sign of progress that I would, mainly point out here is right here around $13.50. So let's actually get a trend line there to illustrate that at $13.50, because again, by staying above that level, overall, that's going to give the price a higher base, and that's, or stair step, however your mind best visualizes all that. And, that does represent that the bulls are continuing to trend upwards. But the level here that I think most people will care about, and I can't say that for sure, obviously, but I think a lot of people are now going to be wondering about this area right there at $14.50, because as you go through the history of the chart here, you can see that back here was one rejection point, and then this morning rejected, and then later on this afternoon got it right around that area and rejected. So just to continue to reiterate, there are no guarantees, but is it plausible, is it valid to think that if the price were to come up to $14.50 and then get the break up through it, that break in and of itself could create quite a bit of upside buying pressure? That is an absolutely valid thought process to have, especially on a very popular stock such as Snapchat. So we'll see if the price can get that breakout or not on Thursday. Next one here, the very famous Gme Gamestop. And I should have put this one in a different location within the watch list because it's the same pattern that I've already talked about before, being the bull pennant. But I'll just go ahead and get it drawn up, and I won't go through it all again. But like I said, think self-fulfilling prophecies. Think the fact that I'm not trying to impress you or imply that this is a great talent. I assure you a bunch of people have drawn in this pattern right here where they've noticed that part of it being the resistance part and support area of the pattern, or excuse me, resistance area of the pattern. And then this area right here with that trend line being the bullish part of it. And then once more, let's just keep this all one color to in my mind at least, make it all a little bit easier to see. We'll see if I can get my lines a little bit better here. But we have a resistance. We have our that was so bad, I got to try again. We have our support. We have our resistance. We have our momentum move right there. Or excuse me, and then we have our golf hole down there. So there we have the bull pennant pattern. So GME, you know, a bunch of eyeballs are on it. It's a very well-known stock. It's a very clear pattern. So as far as self-fulfilling prophecies are concerned, does that guarantee anything? Of course not, but doesn't make it valid to think that if the price gets up through that 116 mark, it could continue on with more momentum. Yeah, that's absolutely a valid thought. Next one here, GOVX. I've done this one the past couple of days, but this afternoon, no doubt about it, got relatively ugly. But for you longer time viewers, you know what I'm about to say next when it comes to things being ugly. There can be opportunity in ugly. Again, opportunity, not guarantees. And at this point, if this thing gets more ugly and continues to, collapse to the downside, a very interesting level is down here at that pink line, again, being the 200 period moving average. So does that mean that for sure, guaranteed, the price will bounce off that area? Absolutely not. But is it valid? Is that some sort of random area on the chart? Absolutely not. That nobody could accuse you of being, random to think and to keep an eye on down here around, the $1.20 mark, which is essentially the value of that 200 period moving average. So like I said, if you like to play those situations where a lot of other people are probably waving the white flag because it's just too ugly in their mind. And of course, with these sort of situations, you got to have risk control, risk management. You don't want to get caught holding the bag. But if you do and can structure risk-reward plans, and if you do get that bounce, again, from a risk-reward standpoint, it could be well worth the effort. Yeah, I can totally tell I'm on the road because once again, this should have been at a different spot within the watch list, so I could have just knocked out all these in one fell swoop. But we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern, so I'm not gonna sit here and go through everything again. You've heard me say it, so let's just get the pattern drawn in. So we have our resistance. I suppose to define myself a little bit, they got a little bit of a different look to them, but generally speaking, they're the exact same thing. So there's our level of support, and hey, if anything, I'm getting some practice here with my lines. So we have again our support. Oh, look at that one. We have our support. We have our resistance. Hey, making progress. We have our momentum move. Oh, that was pretty terrible. And then just to make it more visual, put our golf hole down here. So again, if you like to play these penny stocks, if you like to play bull pennant patterns, and I definitely keep an eye on this. Next one, ELEV, and this is on here for one reason and one reason alone. It's a popular price range. It had big volume, and in my mind at least, there is a very, very well-defined self-fulfilling prophecy point from a breakout standpoint, which again, does not guarantee anything, but is it valid to think that trend line right there is probably being watched by a bunch of people that like to play breakouts on sub $5 stocks? Yes, I think that's a level that a lot of people will be watching, especially when this one has proven to move very nicely. And when you stop and think about it, given the context of the price got all the way up here, and some profit takers hit it and dropped to the downside, it's not like it got down here and then just dropped and dropped and dropped and totally collapsed. No, it finally did start to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price went sideways does not mean that this pullback is done and everything's getting ready to turn around. All I'm saying is it at least valid? Is it at least rational to think that things are getting done, the pullback is over and this thing could get ready to turn itself around? Yes, that is a valid thought process to have given the sideways price movement. So again, sideways price movement, such a well-defined breakout point right around that 415 mark, worth at least keeping an eye on. Next one here, Tsla Tesla. And first, let's just start off with that self-fulfilling prophecy point that I think a lot of people will be watching. And that'll be right here at $670. So if you like to play breakouts, if you like to play calls, then 670, you got to think is a level that a whole lot of people will be watching from that breakout standpoint. If 670 is broken, next key area of resistance after that would be right up there at 680, which I would consider pretty significant because that was a very significant former area of support, and that's just all based on the foundational principle in charting that when levels of support are broken, they tend to act as resistance. But you also want to get too far ahead of yourself. Let's just first see if the price can recover back up to 670 and get the breakout through there. As far as levels of support are concerned, in the very near term, the level that catches my eye the most right there at 650. Not only is it a technical area, but it's just a big old round number. So 650 would be one level that in my mind stands out and is worth keeping an eye on. And then if that level can't quite hold up, then the next key level that I would definitely consider the progress point, which we've talked about, is right here at 640. Because if the price were to go down to 640, and not saying it will, but if we were to go down to 640 and then just break down below it, at that point you'd have the price having gone right back to where it was, and that's just not exactly a sign of true strength. But as of right now, there's definitely some upwards momentum to it, so let's see if the price can get back up to 670 and break up through there. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can and should be used to build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the free class. Like I said, it'll be relatively soon, Thursday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort to create this sort of content, then let me know by doing two simple things. Hit the like button, leave a comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, give me a smiley face emoji. But those two things communicate to me that you're enjoying, and as long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to make these videos. So again, hit that like button, leave a simple comment, and get signed up for that free class. Everybody take care. Have a good one.